Is it Isaac? Hello?
Yes, it is.
How you doing?
I'm very well, Matt. Is that Tracy with you this evening?
No, it's Jen.
Oh, hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
Huge fan of the show. I'm Indian. I'm originally from Kerala. That's a South Indian state. I'm calling from London this evening.
Oh,
Well,
sweet.
we're getting nothing but out-of-town calls, but I'm really happy to hear from London. So go ahead.
Yeah, this is just something that I wanted your opinion on. I'm not entirely sure if it's true or not. It's got to do with how the sort of fundie right in the U.S. sells this image of a degenerate secular Europe, especially the Scandinavian countries, which, I mean, this is information I get from my cousins who've lived in the U.S. for a while, about how it's commonly sold to sort of church-going crowds that if you look at societies which have openly become secular, separation of church and state, predominantly atheist, where there's gay rights and all the rest of it, legal euthanasia. I mean, all these societies have gone down the drain, and how it's all on decline. Is that, I mean, I don't know how far that's true, and whether the media is sort of helping to sell this to the American public by actually not opening up people to the whole idea that, you know, there's a world outside the United States and it's not all hell as it's sold.
Yeah, I think the basic problem with Europe, according to the fundies, is that you guys are having way too much sex. And,
I wish.
So that's one of the issues. You know, the fundies, they want everybody to wait until marriage, and so the fact that, you know, countries like the Netherlands, for example, have very explicit sex education and ready availability of birth control, that's seen as contributing to the moral decline of young people. Some of us think that it's just contributing to the moral, or to the decline of teenage pregnancy, which is a good thing. Now, one of the interesting things is that the fundies actually do promote this whole rise of liberalism as being one of the things that's causing societal decay. But if you look at some of the indicators of, I guess, societal health, teenage pregnancy being one of them, we've got a situation in Texas which has one of the highest, if not the highest, rate of teen births in the U.S.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I was going to get to, and that was my next point, because I work in medicine, and a colleague of mine is a consultant in sexual health and HIV, and he did come to New York to attend an international symposium, and he came back absolutely gobsmacked, because for all its claims of abstinence-only education and all the rest of it, and how they're selling it as this panacea from all evil ills, so to speak, America has some shocking statistics. I mean, all these countries where sex education is taught as it should be have far lower incidence of sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, teenage pregnancies, abortions, all the rest of it. So it's an interesting thing.
Yes, abstinence is an abject failure. And the thing is, when these things are pointed out to the fundies and the people that promote abstinence only, what they do is they say, oh, but the people who got pregnant, they weren't practicing abstinence, so they don't count.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, I mean, in project management, you call it creaming the data.
If your parents didn't have children, the odds are you won't either. To kind of hit the point that you were talking about how these things are represented, it's a little difficult to say, because you have, I guess, the extreme fundamentalist voice is perhaps a bigger minority or a smaller minority than some people would recognize, because they're so darn loud. And what they end up doing, it's not so much the media. It's when the media doesn't agree with them, then that's the media that has the liberal media bias. And when it does agree with them, that's
liberal media that's sort of branded Sarah Palin as this. Okay, I'm not going there because it's not a political show, but anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what they end up doing. Is anybody who doesn't agree with them, that's the liberal media bias. Anybody who does, that's the, and I hate to do this, but fair and balanced thing. And I'm not necessarily hammering Fox. And the fact of the matter is that you're going to find liberals and conservatives in almost all the different media outlets at some point or another. Yes, some stations are going to be more leaning one way than the other, and maybe that's to try and find a balance with the other. So yeah, there is this projection that liberalism leads to all these problems, and that the problems that we're seeing in the United States have happened because of gay rights, the wild and crazy 70s, because evidently disco kills. And in fact, what we find, which you pointed out, was in some cases where we actually have data and information, it completely contradicts this. The Journal of Religious Studies did a survey, or actually an investigation into the real data behind it. It's published online. We've been referring to this one study over and over again since it came out in, I think, 2005. It compares societal health to religiosity. And it's completely clear. Now, they make no claim of causation, and I would never do that either. But those who would say that a society is more healthy as it becomes more religious or more Christian or whatever, they are clearly demonstrated to be wrong by this study. That claim is refuted. And, highly atheistic countries like Japan or Sweden and some others have lower crime rates, lower violence rates, lower instances of teen pregnancy, lower suicide rates, lower transmission of sexually transmitted diseases. And yet you go in the United States, even within our own country, which it's almost unfair to compare one part of it to another, because some of the states are so different in how they do things. In the areas where they've implemented abstinence-only education, we have the data back. It doesn't work. We should have realized that kids are pretty much the same as they've always been. They're little balls of hormones that want to get along. And the abstinence-only education, yes, abstinence works, but teaching them that as the only way is irresponsible. And I think it should be damn near criminal based on the results. You have the highest rates of teenage pregnancy, the highest rates of sexually transmitted diseases in those areas. And now, hopefully we can start moving towards a 21st century education in the health area as well as in the natural sciences.
I sincerely hope so. I mean, talking about abstinence only, we had recently a very, this is looking at it from a light side, we had the Jonas Brothers, who are apparently big in the United States, who sort of came over to England and were in London promoting a show and all the rest of it. And the whole purity ring, chastity ring thing came up in the media. And seriously, I mean, most of the people in England were looking at them as though they were space aliens or something. and they came on to talk shows here, and they sort of talking about how this is a good thing. And you could just see the look on the host's face. It was incredible. I mean, they might as well have been from another planet, really.
That's the purity ring thing has been popular here for a number of years. It may actually be more popular among evangelicals than the idea of abstinence-only education. It's kind of this. It's almost like a chastity belt for that's completely ineffective. And there was a big joke about the teenagers were finding a way around their promise. And I won't tell you how, but it was called the everything but plan. And
You're absolutely right. I have some statistics on that, but I shan't air that on a public access television show because it's too graphic.
I could say it. I just don't want to. It's their first day at the midweek, so I don't want to tell everybody that they were doing anal sex. But did I say that?
Guys, I must compliment you on your show. It's phenomenal. I mean, I just picked it up on YouTube sort of a couple of weeks ago. It's the best thing I've seen. And you present a very sane argument for, I mean, not just for atheism, for rational thinking, and as to how logical reasoning should be the backbone of any decision you make. And kudos to you.
Well, thank you very much. It means more coming from somebody with an accent living in a country that I actually like. I like our country as well. I don't want to sound like I'm anti-United States. I'm a huge fan of our country, which is why I'm here, hoping that I can try and help fix it a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, there is an ulterior motive to this because I am considering moving to the United States for various career reasons.
I'll recommend Austin.
For obvious reasons, this is playing at the back of my mind as to, am I making the right move? Am I going to meet a bunch of freaks? Oh, I'm kidding. I know. I've been to the U.S.
Well,
come to Austin. You'll be fine.
Lovely, lovely people.
If you move to Austin, you'll be fine, and you'll meet a bunch of freaks.
Yeah. We are loaded.
Again, as the previous caller said, if I'm anywhere in the region of Austin, I'll absolutely make it a point to get to Threadgirls, is it?
Okay.
Well, please do. Thanks a lot for calling, Isaac. We appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.